Hey everyone, Jimbo here. Let's talk about the Jews. Now, I'm going to just talk about my own personal observations here and what I've learnt from doing my own research. So there's going to be nothing I deem myself as hate speech. Well, there's not going to be any hate speech. These are just observations and things that I've discovered. And please, I'd encourage you to do your own research too. Let's take these glasses off. So yeah, and also think about where you get your information from, because all of the mainstream media and major alternative news outlets online and wherever are all owned by Jews. If you go far enough up the ladder. So anyway, my first personal observation is, whenever I've walked past someone who's an obvious Jesuit and I've said hello to them, they've never said hello back. It's like I feel like they've always looked at me like I'm less than them. And in the Jewish religion, aren't we seen as Gentiles or Goyim? Cattle. You know, don't take my word for it. Please have a look for yourself. Also, they seem to have some very strange rules. I mean, circumcision is something which needs to be talked about, but you know, it's considered normal because it's religious. But then we look at what's actually happening. It's like a baby's foreskin's being cut off, and then there's a practice where the rabbi sucks the loose skin off the baby who's in a lot of trauma. You're putting that baby through a lot of trauma straight away. You're taking it away from its mother and taking something which connects you to somebody sexually. You're taking that sensitivity away. So it's very icy here. -8 here. So you're taking that sensitivity away from the baby, so when it gets older it doesn't have that connection with its other half, its partner, as an adult. And it's just very strange for a grown man to suck a baby's penis and for it to just go on as if it's normal. And then they have these other weird practices like cutting sideburns with blunt scissors. Yeah, and well, so all the women seem to have to wear a wig. Like, why not just use the hair that God gave you? If you don't wear a wig, do you go straight to hell? I mean, what kind of God is enforcing these rules? Not being able to lift a finger on Sabbath day. I was going to go down here, but it's just pure ice. I'll end up sliding down there, so I'll have to leave that. Not being able to lift a finger on Sabbath day. So, you know, I think Jews have to set timers in their house so they don't lift a finger. It just seems like the most unnatural process of routines and practices, and yet they really do believe that they are God's chosen people. And to the extent that they're getting that red cow, and they're building a third temple in Israel, and then they're going to kill a red cow, and then that should cause the second coming of their God. Or, you know, I don't know, it just sounds a bit mental. So, yeah, what else? They have usury, which is the extortionate lending of money, which is the banking system worldwide now, and which is why everybody's in debt. Why everything's going to shit. Just on an interesting note there, Hitler banned usury and arrested a Rothschild, and Judea declared war on Germany long before Hitler invaded Poland. Please look this up for yourself. Oh, and that's another thing which puts people off. As soon as probably I've mentioned Jews, you've thought Auschwitz, 6 million dead. You know, according to my own research, there weren't even 6 million Jews in Europe. I think official census reports say there were 4 million. And then after Second World War, that number increased because they'd be getting the shekels from Germany because it's like free money. Because, we suffered due to Auschwitz. And 6 million, that's a lot of people. I think a Japanese scientist, an expert, did a calculation of it. It'd have to be 2,600 a minute in that little place, Auschwitz. How do you get that many people into such a small place so fast and kill them all? And then if you actually look at pictures of Auschwitz, it's got an orphanage, it's got a children's school, they had a football team, they had a theatre, they had a swimming pool. They would get killed if they tried to escape. And all those bodies, which are piled up, were from when the Allies cut off the supplies to Auschwitz. So it's like you cut off the food supply, and then there was an outbreak of a disease as well. And then, everybody died because of that. So, also, you've got to think about the things that you're not allowed to talk about. I think what Voltaire said, if you want to find out what's wrong with the world, find out what you can't criticise. You can't criticise the Holocaust, you can't criticise the Jews. Yet, these do seem to be big issues that we need to talk about. I think America's completely controlled by Israel. Every senator or congressman or conman is owned or has a sidekick who's called is Jewish representative from AIPAC. So he gets advised by a Jew or an Israeli, and it's not all Jews. I think the Jews are infiltrated by Khazarians. And if you look up the capital of Kazakhstan, or Astana, Astana, you can see that it's the most futuristic city you've ever seen. More so than like Dubai, or places in Saudi Arabia, or, So I think that they've infiltrated the Jews. And anyway, that's I won't go into that rabbit hole, but I think Israel was quite dystopian during COVID. And it's they're the Jews, the Zionists. The difference between a normal Jew and a Zionist is that a Zionist believes that Israel is the promised land. And if you say anything that criticises that, then you're anti-Semitic. But the Semites are the people who are originally there, and the Ottoman Empire was originally there. So the Palestinians are the Semites. So I'm definitely not anti-Semitic. What else? I think I'll leave it there because I've talked for about 8 minutes about it. You've just got to think about who controls the media too, because you feel like you get your information, your own ideas, because we've got creativity to put our own spin on things, but you don't pick things out of thin air. If you try to draw an alien, you'd put like a bug's head on it and 3 eyes or something. You're not putting something which you haven't experienced before onto that drawing. And I say this because if it's control where you get all of your information from, so what you see and hear, then it also follows that the people putting that information out control what you say and think. So I would say do your own research on all of this. There's a film called Europa, which is very grim, but very informative and banned everywhere. It's like the most banned film. It's very hard to find, so I'll put a link for that in the description. It's about 9 hours long, but just give it half an hour. But it's quite sad, really, but it's also essential viewing just to see why we're in this sad state of affairs where everybody's stressed, everybody's in debt, people aren't happy, people are going to work and stressed to death just paying the man, and it's not supposed to be like that. Obviously Judea declared war on Germany because Hitler created a superpower like long before, well, it was just a threat. It was a threat to the Jews. because they've been getting usury and Babylonian banking, this extortionate lending of money to control people for so long. They've been kicked out of hundreds of countries, thousands of times. I wonder why that is. I just think that they've done this time and time again in the past, but now they've exposed themselves by how unnatural their behaviour is and how cocky and arrogant they become with these practices. And I've got to run through the usual spiel. Like, I don't think, all G's are like this. They're all bad. There are some good, really good ones. There's some who are standing up against the genocide happening. And we've got to think about that. October 7th. Do you condemn Hamas? Do you condemn October 7th? I think Benjamin Netanyahu said that Hamas is a good thing for Israel. So it gives them a reason to just to blow everyone up. So let's just have a quick look at October 7th before I go. They put a music festival on the most guarded border ever in history at the last minute. Seems like a stupid thing to do. And then they're going to provoke an attack. A lot of that footage is AI generated anyway. I'll leave a link to that as well, where like wheels of motorcycles aren't moving and things. And then they've used that. They said baby, like the mainstream, what people were saying in public was, babies have been put in the oven, babies have been beheaded, but there's been no evidence of that. But I can show you plenty of evidence of kids getting blown up in Palestine. Can show you footage of people on drips, on fire, hospitals getting blown up, schools being blown up daily. On New Year's Day, just when the clock struck midnight, just firing a bomb onto Palestine. Footage of God's chosen people, saying it's going to rape all the Palestinian women anally. That's all there. I can show you all of that. So anyway, I'll leave it there. I think I have covered quite a bit. But yeah, we'll see how this goes on YouTube. But it just feels like that you've got to. If these things aren't mentioned, then it's just going to carry on. The world's going to get worse, and people don't know why. So it's just my own. I just feel like I've got to do this. I've got to talk about these things because I don't think many people know about it. So anyway, take care. Thanks very much for watching. And have a good day. I hope you're well. I'll talk to you soon.